All right. Julia, I see you on my screen. Can you give me a thumbs up if you see that? Perfect. Thank you. It's like she's done this before. So if this is your first SACAC state area meeting, it's really just an update of what's going on in the state, what's happening in South Carolina. And also we do have a chat feature. So if you want to chat in the Zoom, feel free. If you have any questions, let us know, but we're just going to kind of start off from here. So we will do some introductions. I'm actually going to wait until after our guest speaker for that. And then we'll have some committee updates, state updates, and then if there is time, we'll have some breakout discussion and then wrap up with next steps for getting ready for our conference in March. So hi again, Katherine Hilson, University of South Carolina. Normally we have 2 chairs for each state for state area initiatives, but I'm running solo right now. So if you know anyone who might be interested in joining me as co-chair, I would be happy to chat with them more about that, as well as we do have 3 board members that oversee our area who would, I'm sure, be eager to talk to somebody about that volunteer opportunity as well. But again, excited to be here. So again, I think most people on the call are pretty familiar with SACAC, but I just wanted to put a little bit in here about who is SACAC, what do we do? We're the regional affiliate for all the Southern Association. And it includes 9 states, but also, parts of the Caribbean. And then a lot of you, again, should be members. But if you are not a member and you're interested in learning more, we do have several board members on the call today. And actually one person specifically for member relations who can share a little bit more about becoming a member if you're interested in that. So here are different committees that we're involved in. We are, again, a really large organization, very diverse organization, not only in our state breakdown, but also just the different types of institutions and, school counselors, CBOs, all the different members that we have. But we have a lot of committees that make up SACAC and make it run. So here's just an overview of the different committees that we have that you can be a part of, that you can run for positions. Volunteering is huge. It's what makes our organization run. There's always opportunities to get involved and volunteer. So if you're interested in that or interested in learning more, again, feel free to ask today, email later on, whatever that may be, because we're eager to have people get involved. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to our guest speaker. We're so excited today to have Joey Derrick. He's our Assistant Vice President for Enrollment Management at the University of South Carolina, and he's also our Chief Financial Aid Officer. But I know that, last year was a really challenging time, to put it lightly, to be honest, with the FAFSA. And right now we're all kind of in flux of not really knowing what's next. And so maybe Joey will have a magic 8 ball to share a little bit more insight, but also just, he has a lot of knowledge and can really share a little bit more about things to expect, hopefully answer any questions that people may have. And so without further ado, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and turn it over to Joey.
Thank you, Catherine, and thank you all for having me here this morning. Let me share my screen here. All right. All right. Catherine, tell me if you can see this PowerPoint presentation.
I can. It does have your own view, so I didn't know if you wanted to go into presenter view. Yep, perfect. It's on presenter view now.
Great. All right. So again, thank you all for having me here this morning. My name is Joey Derrick, AVP for Enrollment Management and Director of Student Financial Aid and Scholarships at the University of South Carolina, Columbia. I want to talk a little bit about FAFSA updates. So we'll talk about 24-25 and 25-26. Specifically, very, very simple agenda here. So we'll do a little bit of a review of 24-25, which is not at all over yet, not even close, but a lot of the major drama has passed. So I want to touch on some of that. And then what we think we can expect for 25-26. Again, a lot of unknowns for 25-26, but we think we have a better handle on it this time around than we did about this time last year, I think. So let's move forward here for our 24-25 review. So I've been asked this a lot, the last couple of months, whether it be at professional associations or whether it be our legislative delegation in Washington, or folks want to know, what happened, what all did we do, and how were we affected? And one of the things that I like to do to just demonstrate this in a visual fashion is bring up a document that our national associations put together, and it's basically an implementation timeline. And what it is a 7-page document, and it lists out all the occurrences of things that happened with 24-25. Now, it's not the text on here that's important, it's the colors. Okay, when we go through this, red means that the Department of Ed missed a deadline or a published date. Orange means that there was an error or a problem with the FAFSA itself or the process behind it. So, what I want to show you all is this. Just look at this. I think this just says it all. Look at all this red. I mean, look at this. This is the kind of stuff that we were dealing with for the last 2.5 years. Constantly missing deadlines, constant information that did not make sense or was conflicting, leading up to the launch of the FAFSA. Lots of red here still, right? We're moving into 2023, lots of red. And then here we go. Here we go with the orange. We start with as a launch. We've got problems with comment codes. We've got problems with reprocessed ICERs. An ICER is a school's version of the FAFSA. Constant problems as we move forward. Just constant problems. You see there's nothing but red and orange through this. And it just keeps going. You see it just keeps on going right on through to where we started to really get uncomfortable. And this is where we started to think something is just not right here. We were not getting information from the Department of Ed. We were not certain of when the FAFSA would go live. And then, boy, it really just started to fall apart. You can just see one after another of these orange entries here and these red entries along with orange. And the reason I show you all this is not to be dramatic, but I think it does a pretty good job of giving us an example of a really overall view of what we all experienced. And you can sum it up in a couple of different ways, but there's a certain way I like to explain this. And basically what happened is we were basically flying blind pretty much the entire time. Schools were, counselors like yourself were, we were all pretty much flying blind. And unfortunately, and again, not to point fingers, but I'm just stating the fact, the Department of Education really just dropped the ball on this in a major way. And there have been inquiries both from Congress and from the Government Accounting Office and the Inspector General into the rollout of the 24-25 FAFSA. And not surprisingly, what they found was there was poor communication, poor planning, multiple contractors working on the project, not being maintained or managed by a central group, just all the possible things you could think of that would make a FAFSA launch a disaster were in place. And that's what we experienced. You know, we spent a lot of time helping families navigate the FAFSA online. We spent a good bit of time explaining the student aid index, but honestly, the student aid index, which I thought would be the biggest point to discuss, really wasn't. It really was, how do I get through the contributor section of the FAFSA? What do I do if I have one or more parents that don't have a social security number? How do I navigate this error message I'm getting? We really became almost tech support in our office for the 24-25 FAFSA. And then secondary to that, we were discussing things such as SAI. Now, in addition to the things that we talk about that were student-facing and parent-facing that were problems, there were a host of problems behind the scenes in the processing part of it. What that meant was schools couldn't enter corrections to ICERs for up until, oh God, it's only about 2 or 3 months ago. What that meant was we couldn't make changes on a student's behalf. We could not do professional judgments. We could not update a FAFSA to reflect someone's current financial situation rather than what it was 2 years ago. Up until about August, we had no way to do that. And as you can imagine, that was hard on families, hard on our staff to have to explain this. And then when we could make corrections, we have to make them manually through a portal. Not to get too technical, but we've been sending these up in batch since the late 1990s. It's just on the day of the office. But now, anytime we make an adjustment, whether it be for verification or professional judgment or to correct an error on the student's behalf, we have to go into a portal and make the change manually. It's not a good approach. I'm concerned about errors, as are my colleagues across the nation. But that's what we dealt with. You know, that's what we dealt. We made it happen. We made things work. And for the most part, I know a lot of schools encountered some real issues with enrollment and FAFSA filing percentages, but for us, we came out pretty good. I want to show you this to give you a visual of kind of how this lays out. So I'm going to lay out a chart here. On the x-axis is the month and day, starting with October of 23 through September 1st of 24. And then on the vertical axis are FAFSA filers. So this was 23-24, and this is very typical. When we look at our FAFSA filers, those that put USC Columbia on the FAFSA, this is very, very typical. When we look at the date that they completed it, lots of them around October 1, right? Lots of them on October 1. That's when it launched. That's when it launched every year previous to that for 6 or 7 years prior to that. And we always had a huge number then, and then continuing on, and then kind of a trickle on down through August. This is a good indication of how work gets spread out. To when you look at this, when you have FAFSAs coming in at this rate, it's spread out pretty well so that we can deal with whatever issues are coming down the pipe. Every year there's some issue with the FAFSA, we have to deal with it, whether it's verification selection, being higher, whatever. But you've got a runway there to get things ready and get things where they need to be. Now, this was 24-25. You can see here, it wasn't even available, right, until really January 1. And even then, that was questionable because it was down a lot. So you can see the spike much later, and you can see the much more compressed time frame here from start to finish, because we still had enrollment deposit deadlines. We still had deadlines for FAFSA receipt for making awards. We still had fee payment deadlines for fall. So we compressed this thing by about 4 months when you look at this. And naturally, something like that is going to create stress and headaches for everyone involved, for us, for you all, for families, and state agencies, those that work with this as well, those that assist folks in filling out FAFSAs, whether it be the TRIO programs or the programs that CHE administers. All of us were really compressed to make things happen. And we did, for the most part. I think if you look across the nation, you look at the numbers, you'll see that, personally, what I think is nothing short of a miracle, how little of an impact this actually had in the final analysis. And it wasn't because it just happened that way. It was really because what I believe is really a community came together to make this happen. And by community, I mean everybody involved with helping folks get admitted, get enrolled, and pay for college. And I mean from high schools on, everybody involved did a really, really great job coming together and making this happen, despite all the challenges that we had. So if you look at this, in the end, we ended up with roughly the same amount of FAFSAs we've had in the past. A little bit down, but not enough to be concerned about, and not nearly as much as some of the schools that we've heard from in other parts of the country. But what's really a shame about all this is that this whole FAFSA rollout for 24-25 and the headaches and challenges that it really overshadowed the good parts. And I want to talk about that here next. If you peel back the layers and you look at the source of the changes to the FAFSA, it was from the FAFSA Simplification Act of 2020. Okay, and that legislation made a huge number of changes to the FAFSA, really to benefit everybody, and a tremendous number of changes. It reduced the form from over 100 questions down to 36. It implemented an automatic sharing of data from the IRS. It cleared up some of the things that we've been asking for years that weren't necessary, such as selective service registration, drug convictions, things that have nothing to do with aid eligibility that are still being asked on the FAFSA. Cleared up a huge number of things like that. And the hope was it would get more folks to file a FAFSA and ultimately would result in more Pell Grant recipients, because the change in the way the Pell Grant eligibility formula worked. It used to be the Pell Grant just moved along in lockstep with the expected family contribution. It's not that way anymore. It's driven primarily by income and household size as compared to the Health and Human Services poverty guidelines. So very, very different than what we had in the past. But I do want to show you this. So we take a look at, this is at USC Columbia, take a look at our Pell Grant recipients. So for 23-24, we had 5582. For 24-25, we have 6849. That's a 22% increase, and that's what we were projecting We were projecting between 20 and 30% increase in headcount for Pell recipients before all this came to pass. We're just looking at the changes to the formula. So we're really happy about this. This is really, really good. This is the kind of thing that we really wanted to see come out of this legislation and come out of the implementation of the 24-25 FAFSA. Could it have been even higher? I mean, maybe, I don't know, but that's still a tremendous improvement there all around. Then perhaps even more so, when you look at the dollars, about close to 32 million last year, and then look what we have now. And you look at this now and you see we're at close to $41 million. That is a 28% increase, which again, even higher than the recipients. And what that means is that not only do we have more Pell Grant recipients, but more of them are qualifying for the maximum Pell Grant award. And that's really great. That's the kind of thing that we've been wanting to see for years. I do want to add one little caveat here. I've already seen this. Schools are jumping out saying what all they've done to increase their Pell Grant recipients and all that. I'll be perfectly transparent with you all, and this is the case for most schools. It had nothing to do with us. This is the Pell Grant formula changes, and this is the results of it. So when you see schools getting out there saying we did all this to increase our Pell Grant recipients 22%, probably not. It's a result of the eligibility calculation. But I want to make that clear because I'm seeing a lot of this in the news now of folks celebrating their increase in Pell recipients as if they did something magical to make it happen. It is very difficult to increase the number of Pell recipients in an institution. Very difficult. But this is a good way to do it with legislation that holds up to what it's expected to do. Okay, so 25, 26 expectations. All right, so a couple of things here. So federal student aid has laid out a roadmap for us, which is more than they did last year. So I want to show you a few highlights out of this roadmap. And this is public. This is on FSA's website, if you choose to go out and look at it. They have met most of these deadlines. They have delivered a provisional ISA record for us to look at. That was in August. They have been releasing pieces of the specifications guide, which is important for schools and for software vendors. We have seen some policy guidance, which we did not have last year. Again, starting this fall and through summer of 2025, there's more to come, a lot more policy guidance to come. But we have received some policy guidance in that regard. We just got some this morning for badly needed for data sharing purposes. FA administrator training, this has been going on as well. The department has held several webinars for us, including one this afternoon, to help us know what to expect, to help us at least where things are. None of this happened last year. We had none of this. It was on a roadmap, but none of it ever happened, which is, again, part of the reason why it was so confusing and so difficult to manage the rollout. Outreach resources, they have done this too. They have launched a lot of these pieces that they talked about, fact sheets, presentation templates. They have done that. They did release a FAFSA prototype. Now, it's not really the FAFSA, but it's closer than what we had last year. So we can see it. We can look at what the text looks like, look at the instructions text, and get kind of an idea of what it looks like for 25-26. 25-26 is very similar to 24-25. Very, very similar. They chose to make no changes to questions. Statutorily, they're not really allowed to make many changes, but they chose to change virtually nothing except some text throughout it. For obvious reasons, they really didn't have time they haven't even fixed what's wrong with the current one, so they couldn't really make changes for a new one. There's still outstanding issues with the current one that'll roll forward that I'll show you in a couple of minutes. They did release some sample ISERs for software vendors to test. They did release the ISER layout, actually it was ahead of September. They did agree to hold a training conference, which they barely held last year. This was an important one. They did do this, a standalone parent wizard tool. That might be one of the most complex and confusing parts of the new FAFSA is who is my parent of record for this? Before it was embedded in the FAFSA and you kind of had to do it once you got there. Now it's a standalone tool, very, very helpful, which we can have folks look at ahead of time, have students and parents look at this ahead of time and be ready to answer that question later on. That's something we wanted last year that they were unable to deliver, but they do have it out there now. The FA estimator is out there as well. The beta period also started. Now, the beta period is a new approach that they took under the leadership of the current CEO of the College Board. They had invited some schools to participate in beta testing. They invited schools and they invited students to do this. So they've got a limited number of schools that have agreed to receive 25-26 FAFSAs and a group of students that agreed to fill them out in a controlled environment where the Department of Ed could see what they're doing and schools can see how it's going and report back. And that's been very successful. That did begin in October as they promised. It is going on. Remains to be seen what all will come out of it. So far, they have found some problems, but none of them have been major showstoppers. This is the big one, assuming the FAFSA will be available December 1. Right now, that's still the assumption. There's no indication that it won't be. I'm just so jaded and cynical, and I don't mean to be, but I'm not super optimistic about that. If it is, I suspect we'll still have some challenges when it launches. I suspect volume will probably cause some performance issues, but if they can at least get it out by December 1, that's an improvement. They have done quite a bit of outreach to current FAFSA filers to remind them to complete the 25-26 FAFSA when it's available. Again, the standalone parent wizard tool is out there in the FA estimator. They have put out a bunch of YouTube channel updates, which are very popular with folks, students and parents. They watch these, they check these a lot. They have launched those as well. So you can see they have a roadmap, and it's pretty good. And they have met most of the things on the roadmap itself, which is encouraging. That's something that did not happen last year. And it was one of the reasons that we were very concerned last year, because there were so many things on their roadmap that were not being met. And this time that's not the case. So again, we feel better about it. I'm still cautiously optimistic, but at least they are meeting some of the things that they said they would do. Okay, I mentioned before there are some open issues, and there are. So the Department of Ed has been posting information about FAFSA issues that are open and closed, and they've got them in groups in different groups of categories. But I'm just going to show them to you here. None of these are, FAFSA wide, but there are still some problems. There are school names truncated. There are problems with graduate students with Pell eligible SAIs presented. There are problems with contributors. There are problems with parents unable to access the FAFSA. Despite it starting on the student, we've had several of these where the student started it. They sent the information to the parent to be a contributor, and they could not start it, and they don't really know why, the Department of Ed. There's a technical issue, but they don't really know why. Again, the infamous with no SSN issue, this one has been a big one, and it still doesn't have a really good resolution. So you can see here, there are still a fair number of outstanding issues. Again, none of them are showstoppers, but there's still enough that we're going to get questions, and we're going to have some folks that have some difficulty navigating the 25-26 FAFSA. These are going to roll forward. If they're not fixed in 24-25, they won't be fixed in 25-26. We do have some SAIs not being calculated correctly or missing entirely. These are troublesome. We got a few of these, matter of fact, the other day with some late FAFSA filers. These are very troublesome. They're difficult to figure out how to resolve. And then the corrections process, there's a couple of different situations where corrections aren't being logged properly, certain corrections aren't working, difficulty adding schools. If the corrections were submitted through the FAFSA Partner Portal, which is us, like if we go in and make an adjustment, then the student wants to add an additional school to receive the results, there's some problems there. So the point of all this is there are still some issues. There's still some open issues. And so we want to be cognizant of that. And we want to make sure that we keep in mind that 25-26 will probably be better, but there are still some things that we have to be aware of, and that we should expect certain groups of students to continue to struggle to complete the form itself. All right. And then beta testing. I mentioned this. The Department of Ed also posted a website devoted to what they call Beta Central, and they've been posting updates on here. Everything they've found during these beta testing with these schools and students. There's about, I think there's 50 some schools that are participating, in about 5,000 total students that are participating. So they run through these, they post updates, they post issues, they post resolutions. So again, this is a lot more transparent than what we had last year, much more transparent. So even though they're finding some issues, none of them have been huge, most of them have been technical in nature, but we at least know what they are. And we know they're working to fix them, which again was something that we did not have last year. So this is the beta project. We're moving into beta 3 now, which involves a larger group of schools and a larger group of students. As the population grows, in the beta testing, that's when more problems are going to be found, and that's okay. We'd rather have that found now than find it when it's turned on like last year and have a whole host of problems for which there were no solutions. All right. So I did want to leave plenty of time here for questions. Again, I expect a better experience for 25-26 than 24-25, but I would not expect a real smooth sailing. I would just expect not quite the complete train wreck. And again, I hate to be so cynical about it, but gosh, it's just been such an experience. Not necessarily a train wreck like last year, but I would expect some challenges, and I expect certain groups of students and parents to struggle with the 25-26 FAFSA, similar to the way the 24-25 FAFSA worked. So I'm happy to take any questions that you all have. If I don't have the answer, I'll try to find out and get it back to you.
Anyone have a question for Joey? It doesn't have to be, of course, about USC.
No.
All right, it's it. Nancy asked, has there been any announcements about more help for families that are having issues?
You mean like the help desk and all, not being able to answer their questions and all? We've been told that there's an effort to get more resources. I do not know if that's actually going to happen. I suspect not to the extent that it needs to be.
Any other questions?
Hey, I just want to say thank you for this presentation. There are a lot of FAFSA presentations out there, and this perspective hasn't really been shared. So it was really great information. Just with the information that you presented, I just haven't seen that. What would you say on the high school side? What would you say we should be doing right now to help our families and students prepare?
So I think there's probably a couple things that can be done. Number one is publicity, which I'm sure you're already doing. Making sure that they know that this is out there, that it will go live on December 1, and we're just going to assume that until we learn otherwise. But I think what we found last year was a good dose of optimism and support up front seemed to help. And knowing that even if they encounter some problems, there are people there that can help and get them through. And also, one of the things that we tried to push forward is that encourage these students when they fill out a FAFSA, if they have a question about completing it or whatnot, contact the school's financial aid office. We helped a lot of students last year that never came to USC. Some never even put us on the FAFSA, and that's okay. They needed some help. They couldn't get through to their school, so they called us. They asked for some help, and we helped them walk through it. So I think as long as students and parents understand that there are resources out there and people that will help them, I think that goes a long way towards keeping them from getting dissuaded, which is what we saw some last year. You know, we saw folks just kind of throw in the towel. Arguably the ones that probably needed the help the most from the FAFSA are the ones that gave up. So I think if we can push forward the idea that even if it's challenging, there are plenty of people there to help, I think that'll go a long way.
Joey, I know I'm sure everybody here, but I know we specifically encourage students to submit as soon as they can when the FAFSA opens. But Jerry just asked a great question of, would you encourage families to actually hold off completing the FAFSA for like a week or two once it opens, just to see if there are any glitches that they need to work through, or what would be your kind of advice with that?
That's a great question. So I'll give two answers. So I'll give one answer that if the Department of Ed asked me, I would answer. I would say, yes, December 1st, please. What I would tell folks for real, just give it a couple of days. Just don't be part of that group that it just crashes and there's all kinds of problems. And I hate to be like that, but that's just that's what we told people last year, basically. We said, just wait, just give it a little bit longer. A few days past December 1 is not going to make the difference between whether you do or do not get an award from most schools. Just give it a couple of days. But some people just really want to get in there first, and so we don't want to dissuade them from doing that. If they want to, that's fine. But if they ask us, what should we do? We usually say, well, just be on the cutting edge, but not the bleeding edge. How about that?
That's
I would
great.
say though to it, like my school, for supplemental grants,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we saw that there's more Pell eligible grants, but for supplemental grants, we usually give those out in the first download of FAFSAs. So if students wait too long, they could have been eligible for supplemental grants. And that pot of money is gone.
Yeah, that's a tough one, and I was just thinking about that as I was speaking. With SEOG, you get a set amount, right? You get a set amount for the year, and it doesn't increase with your Pell Grant recipients, right? You have more Pell Grant recipients, you don't get more SEOG. And different schools package it in different ways. And depending upon how the school would package it, they might go with, what is the date that the FAFSA was received. That is a possibility. That's why I say I wouldn't tell people to wait weeks. That's why I would say just a couple of days, perhaps. Looking at it from our perspective, we're going to take all the lowest SAIs first and line them up from start to finish, from date order. And most of the time, what happens is that's usually the first 2 to 3 weeks that the FAFSA is open. That's the group that we usually run out of SEOG on.
All right. Any other questions for Joey while we have him? All right. Thank you so much, Joey. We really appreciate you taking
Thank you
time
all
to be
very
here
much. I
and sharing
appreciate
this
it.
with us. Yeah,
Thank you.
All right. Okay, yes, I see some people clapping. We'll jump back into SACAC specific. I don't know why it never wants to go to the slideshow. Okay, so I am going to turn it over to Julia Hodge to talk about some advancement opportunities.
Perfect. Thanks, Catherine. Hey, everybody. I think I know a lot of you on the call, at least, but I'm Julia Hodge. I work at USC as well, but I'm actually over in the College of Education. So I'm our recruiter in the College of Education, which means I partner with the undergraduate admissions team, but then I also work to recruit graduate students. So that's kind of my spiel, but in this sense for SACAC, I am currently on the board and I am our advancement chair. So that means I collect money. So we are doing kind of a big push right now to sponsor our upcoming conference, which we'll definitely touch on kind of later in the presentation. But if you or someone you know, so if you work with any sort of vendor or organization, or if your institution would like to do any kind of sponsoring for the conference, please consider it. We've got lots of different options with lots of different benefits. Some things that are probably of particular attention to everyone on this call. We do actually have 2 levels that are not on this chart that are lower, which may be of interest to you. So there is something called the institutional partner level, and that's only $1,000. And then there's even a friend of SACAC, which is $500. So if you feel like you'd like to do something to kind of get your institution out there or to support SACAC's work, you're able to do that with kind of a lower giving if you don't need kind of all of these benefits, for instance. If you have any questions about that, I am happy to answer them. You're welcome to email me with my USC email, or technically you're supposed to do SACAC, so I'll put both in the chat. But either way, I'm happy to talk to you and look forward to our upcoming conference. So thanks, Catherine.
Thanks, Julia. And then, did we have anyone from the communications committee that hopped on?
Hi.
Okay. Hi, Celeste. I totally lied to you. I was like, I have your slide. So, all right, Celeste, go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's having a good Friday and is able to enjoy, I think, a very restful long weekend after November 1st, but on both sides of the desk. I know that I certainly am appreciating that big deadline passed. So I'm here on behalf of Dominic and myself. Communications has not had any significant changes so far in regards to what we're doing, other than we keep growing our LinkedIn page and want that to be a central hub for communication with all the members. We are sharing a lot of the information about our conference, about advancement, and the different events that we're running there. So please make sure that you're following us there, other than our Instagram. It is where we are most active in regards to sharing resources. And if you're participating in SACAC events, feel free to tag us. We'd love love to be able to highlight you. We're always looking for volunteers and voices that want to share stuff for the Southern Scope. We have an edition that's going to come up in December. So if you have anything that you want to say, or even nominate one of your fellow colleagues for a spotlight, please let us know. There's a form that's usually in the What's Coming Wednesdays that we sent out to you where you can nominate your colleagues and we can share what good work that they do within their communities. Other than that, those are all of our updates. Again, I wish everyone well, and we're here for you for whatever that you need. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, Celeste. All right. Governance nominating is the one that I was like, I don't think we have someone, but I will pause just in case there is someone here. Okay. And then government relations. I know we have legislative day. Taylor, I know you're on the call, so I don't know if you have something you'd like to add.
Yeah, thanks. Hope you guys are having a good Friday. I'm happy to be on the call with you guys. We do have a legislative day that you can go ahead and anticipate some more information coming from. Our tentative date for that, which should be confirmed very soon, if not by the end of the day today, is going to be March 5th. So a little bit later, and my co-chair, Kyle Conrad, who works with Winthrop, and I are kind of working together. We have some pretty solid ideas, but we are still confirming things. So if you have ideas or suggestions on what you would like to see out of government relations, we want to make sure we're serving our membership. So, if there's different things, we're open to a lot of ideas. I think it looks different for every state based on the involvement. So, open to anything, but we have some exciting ideas lined up. But March 5th.
Awesome. Thank you, Taylor. All right. Finance. I think we had somebody on here. Maybe not. Okay. Well, they did have a slide. So there is the Counselor Participation Fund. I know that has been shared a lot in recent communication from SACAC. So if you know of a counselor or you yourself, want or need a financial assistant to attend any of the SACAC events, there's a little bit more information in the application process in that QR code. But like all of the things, our website is really kept up to date. And so I would recommend looking at the website. And of course, if you ever have a question or someone has a question, can email SACAC to get that answered. And then also the Extend the Dream Grant. So that's a little bit more about finance updates. All right, Inclusion, Access, and Success Committee. Do we have anybody? Okay. There is a virtual discussion and book club. So I know I just recently received an email about the book club. So again, if you are not receiving emails from SACAC, but you are a member, reach out to see if maybe it's going to your spam or you're not on the listserv or something maybe happened. But lots and lots of opportunities that are being shared just about getting more involved and the different opportunities that we have within SACAC. And then there are college admission workshops. So those range, again, really depending on the state and the different groups. But you can see more about specific college admission workshops in each area with that QR code. And so depending on where you are, or maybe if you have students elsewhere, school elsewhere, you can see more. I know ours got rescheduled because of the storm. So I think that it will hopefully happen again sometime soon. And then I will stop talking so Katherine and Taylor can tell us a little bit more about the drive-in workshop in the spring.
Thanks, Catherine. Yes, I think I know a lot of people on the call, but if I have not met you, my name is Catherine Daniels. I'm the Associate Director of College Counseling at Hammond School in Columbia. And Taylor, who you heard from about Legislative Day, is my co-chair for the drive-in workshop. So if you've never been before or don't know much about it, the SACAC drive-in workshop is a one-day professional development experience aimed at high school counselors, public, private, independent, CBO, really any setting, high school counselors and advisors. It's a really great opportunity to do a little bit of professional development a little closer to home. Last year we held it at Lander University. Joey was actually one of our speakers last year, which was awesome. And we were just happy to start bringing them back in person again. So we're doing it again this year. It is going to be at Wofford College on January 31st, which is a Friday. So go ahead and mark your calendars. We'd love for all of you to attend. We also have a couple of asks of you, everybody on the call. First of all, we would love for you to spread the word about the drive-in workshop, since we're trying to kind of make them as robust as they used to be in person. I know when I was in grad school, I attended one that had like 150 or something participants. So that's the goal. So we'd love for you to spread the word. You actually don't have to be a SACAC member to attend. So if you have fellow counselors in your area, or you know of a counselor who might benefit from coming, please let them know. There is a $30 registration fee, but it can be waived for public school counselors, CBO advisors, and anyone who that cost would be prohibitive. So they can just select free access registration to come for free. So that is awesome. And it's going to be a really good time. So that's the first ask, is just to spread the word. And then the second ask I'm about to put in the chat. We have a really brief survey or input form that we would love for you to fill out. Anybody on the call can fill it out. Even if you're on the college side, we would be happy to hear from you. We are just interested in getting feedback on what everyone wants to hear at the workshop. We have several different speakers usually every year, and we want to make sure we're picking speakers that people want to hear from. And so it's an anonymous form. You don't have to put your name in. We'll just ask it, like what your background is, whether you're a counselor or on the college side, etc. And then ask a couple questions about what you think we should feature this year at the workshop. So just threw that in the chat. Would love for y'all to fill that out. And then just final reminder, the drive-in workshop will be at Wofford this year in Spartanburg on Friday, January 31st. So thanks so much. Taylor, if you have anything to add, please feel free to.
No, I think you did a really good job. But I really encourage you to come if you can. It's always really great when we can get together. So I hope you can make it.
And y'all, there was a question in the chat about being able to show up day of. Is that a possibility, or do you have to pre-register, or is there like on-site registration if somebody is able to make it like day of?
Taylor, do you know the answer to that?
I would hate to turn anyone away. There is a registration fee. So if you come, a lot of that's covering the food. So try to let us know if you're interested in coming and you're not sure if you're going to make it or not. We can certainly have a plan in place.
I have 2 questions for promoting the event. Do school counselors still receive continuing education credits for it? And are they able to get reimbursed for their travel?
The continuing education credits is actually a really good question, because that's a change this year. SACAC has removed the requirement that drive-in workshop sessions need to satisfy that, because it was very limiting in the types of programming that was available, and they were not seeing the amount of people requesting those credits as they thought they would. So no, this year there will not be those credits available, and I don't believe there's any process in place to get reimbursed for travel, as far as I'm aware. All I know about is the free access registration that's available for counselors who need it.
And I'll add to that, our SACAC wide drive-in workshop will be virtual, and we will offer credit for that one. It will be after conference in April. And Catherine's correct, there is not reimbursement for travel.
Thank you.
All right. And if anyone does have another question, or if something pops up from anything we've talked about so far, feel free to throw it in the chat or just hop on. There's not too many of us on this call, so it's a nice group. Professional Development Committee. Is there anyone from that group? I do have a couple of slides. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Bartley and I are SACAC leads.
Okay.
And our applications for both participants and faculty are open until November 30th. This is a great program. It runs in the spring. Generally, there's at least a commitment of meeting monthly, sometimes twice a month virtually, and then we convene at the conference. That's kind of our final meeting in person. But it's a opportunity for participants who've had at least 5 years of admissions experience to connect with faculty and kind of be mentored and learn from each other and feel supported. And we ask the faculty to have at least 10 years experience and involvement in SACAC. Is there any questions about SACAC leads? Well, please let us know if you think of anything later, or if you have anybody you'd like to recommend. We have a few more weeks in the application. Thanks, Catherine.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys. And I know, didn't you win a big award for that? Very proud of SACAC.
Bartley did, yes. Yeah, Bartley was recognized. He created this program, and I've been a member of the
Well, it was, I accepted on behalf of SACAC leads, but thanks, Megan.
That's awesome. Well, we're proud of y'all. Thank you for sharing the forms as well for both faculty and for participants. And then for the mentorship program, I mean, that's something I threw my name in the hat many, many moons ago and really enjoyed that process myself. And so if you're interested in that, feel free. Again, I know there's QR codes, but can reach out, ask questions, but that can be a really great opportunity to get connected as well, especially if you have maybe newer staff and wanting to get them connected to a mentor, or if you want to serve as a mentor. And then there's also, you know, of course, our trainings that we have every year. So we have summer seminar that will be for college counseling professionals, and then dry run for our new admissions professionals. And those will be over the summer. So we'll share a lot more information about those as we get closer to conference, but just be thinking about that if you have any staff in mind, or you know that you have people that you want to plug in for those. And then we do have the Sweet Tea Tour. Again, it'll be in June, and we'll have more details in spring. And then, of course, our annual conference. So I know it's a little earlier this year, March 30th through April 1st. It is in Atlanta. The registration will open next month, and we're excited about that. And this is our theme. So embrace the moment, inspire, inform, impact. That will be the theme for the 2025 conference in Atlanta. And then fun state updates, which I really have already given, but just had, again, the drive-in. We now know the day, again, still tentative, but most likely March 5th, as that was shared. Did anyone else have any specific South Carolina updates that they wanted to make sure to share with the group? Okay. And before we do that, I was going to see, Crystal, are you still ready and available to share a little bit more about member relations? I know you were on the call earlier.
Yes. Hi, Catherine. Hello, everyone. My name is Crystal Livingston. I'm actually here on behalf of the Member Relations Committee of the SACAC board. It's a pleasure to hear of all the wonderful updates and everything that's going on in South Carolina. I am in Georgia ordinarily, but I'm actually in South Carolina right now, caring for my father who is in rehab. And so I am signing on from South Carolina. Catherine, is it okay if I just share my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And some of this you may have already heard before, especially the mentorship piece. But I definitely want to give you a purview of what's going on with our mentorship as far as numbers are concerned. And so forgive me if I can, let's see if I can get to it, the slideshow. It's always fun with technology and the whole slideshow situation. Never been able to quite do it, but let's see. All right. I hope that everyone, okay, thank you so much. So our membership totals right now, this is just a snapshot as of 10/22. We have a total of 2,317 members, of which South Carolina has 209. And of the total membership, we have free access membership of 718 members. So South Carolina is just about the 5th or 6th. I forgot to actually look at the place of number of, I was going to say students, y'all. No, the number of members that we have in SACAC. So you guys are doing well. continue to encourage people, especially our public school counselors that are looking to be more involved in SACAC or don't even know about SACAC, to join us and let them know about the free access membership option that we have. And they can contact us directly, the Member Relations Committee. And sorry about that, my phone just went off. And they can let us know if they have any needs or if they just have questions about what SACAC is, which a lot of, I've encountered a number of public school counselors who have said, I don't know how I fit in SACAC. What is SACAC? How can it help me? And so we're developing messages to help encourage more public school counselors and just people in general understand how SACAC can meet their needs as professionals. You heard some of the mentorship from the Professional Development Committee. We actually have a mentorship subcommittee within our committee, and they have been doing some mentor hubs, which we had our first one on November 4th, and it turned out really well. We had a number of new and veteran professionals on there who wanted mentorship or just wanted to connect with people on a Zoom and ask questions that sometimes can seem like, oh, I should know this. I've been 5 years in the game. I should know this, but we're providing a space, the Mentor Hub, where you can ask questions, you can get more information. And we had an IEC on there, an independent counselor who was asking a lot of great questions the other day. So again, more, I guess you would say, ways that you can connect and be a part of circles and communities within SACAC. And these are the dates for the upcoming Mentor Hubs. Then we also have our SIG groups. So these are subcommittees, or not even committees, but subgroups where you have special interests. And as you can see, the list is growing. We actually had some inquiries for 2 other SIG groups that we're looking to consider now. But if you find that you're a special interest group that is not listed up here and you want to start a SIG and you have some people that are interested, please email us and let us know. But we have a ton of great SIGs here that you can be a part of, that you can find your tribe, if you will, and find your group within SACAC, again, forming that community. And then we encourage all of our members to really look at the Info Hub. The Info Hub is new to SACAC as far as getting all of our information in one easy to find place. And if you have not accessed the Information Hub or the Info Hub, please let me know. Please let our committee know so that we can help you through that. But you should have gotten your password and your ID for it, and go in there every so often. But we have something within there called the membership milestones, formerly known as Members on the Move. And so what we've done is expanded it so that we can celebrate not only your career milestones, but also your personal milestones. We know people are getting married, they're getting engaged, they're getting, having kids. Maybe you want to report your divorce. I don't know, but maybe we could congratulate on that. But we want to celebrate you, the whole person, whatever that is. And you can actually go in the Info Hub and just fill out a simple, quick form. And that information will get published on our website on the Info Hub. So we want to just do that for you. We want to actually do more for our members to highlight them holistically, not just in their career, but your personal lives and all of the things that make up you and make you a valuable member of SACAC. So we thank you so much. And you can connect with Member Relations Committee at memberrelations@sacac.org. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Crystal. I know we had a
Thank
few
you.
people hop off because we're getting close to time, but I know Kristen had a few more updates and then we'll close us out.
Thanks, Catherine. For those of you that I don't know, my name is Kristen Bird, and I serve on the State and Area Initiatives Committee of the SACAC Board. I am one of 3 committee members, so I work with Darren Morgan, who is based in Arkansas, and then Monique Tubbs, who is based in Florida. And so we make up the State and Area Initiatives Committee. And just want to thank you for taking the time to hop on this call today. I know it's a Friday midday, and everyone has a lot going on. So we just greatly appreciate you taking the time and hope to see you at some of the upcoming SACAC events, but specifically want to just thank Katherine for all of her work that she did to make this meeting happen. As she said, she is doing this solo this year, so just appreciate her and all her work. And as members through South Carolina, if you ever have questions, please reach out to Katherine. She's a great contact for you. And also the 3 SAI board members would be happy to help as well. So just thank you to everyone, and we hope to see you at events in the future.
Yes, and as Allison said, be a mentor with us. So I know we've had a lot shared today, but if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, or if you want to share any of the information, let us know. We can get you more. But sorry we didn't have more time to chat and have dialogue, but thank you guys for sticking in there. And again, if you do have any questions, let us know. And otherwise, I'll let everybody get back to their Friday and hope to see you all in March in Atlanta. What? No, wait, before that, drive in. Okay. Bye, everybody. Have a great weekend. Bye.